Good evening and welcome to McCulloch Stadium on the campus of Willamette University. 3A high school football here in the state of Oregon. I'm Fletcher Johnson along with my analyst Jim Patterson and our engineer James Connors, bringing you tonight Blanchet Catholic and Pleasant Hill in a 3A PacWest Conference battle. And Jim, as we take a look at this matchup here tonight, a lot riding on this game between these two teams.
Well, particularly for Pleasant Hill, the Billies, they need to win. If they don't win this game, it's a one and done. This is like the playoffs, but they've got to win a game to take the next step to get into the playoffs.
And when you look at what has to be done, Pleasant Hill has to win, because if they lose, they would be jumped by Salem Academy, who is playing a lower-ranked team in this PacWest Conference. For Blanchet, they clinch the 3 seed. If they win, if they lose, they will be the 4 seed advancing to the playoffs out of the PacWest Conference. And these two teams have met up a couple times before in the PacWest Conference. They've shared the conference for 2 years, and Pleasant Hill has gotten the best of Blanchet in both of those matchups, winning 46-0 in 2010 and 52-6 in 2011. So Blanchet looking to break a bit of a losing streak against the Billies, Jim.
Well, and Pleasant Hill, obviously, in terms of the contrast in different offensive styles, Pleasant Hill will want to throw the ball around. Ryland Hayter, their big quarterback, 6'5", 200 pounds, 63% percentage rate on completion. So we'll see as the Blanchet Catholic Cavaliers get the football to start the game, how they do on offense.
Jackson Birch kicks it off, and it looks like Trenton Gianella brings it out, finally caught from behind as he gets the ball close to the 40-yard line and looks to come up a bit lame holding that right shoulder. So Blanchet will take over their first offensive possession, and leading them out, Trey Gianella, the brother of Trenton, who just had that kickoff return, leads this offense out on the field. 330 yards passing, 136 yards rushing on the year for Blanchet, who are 5-3 overall, 5-2 in conference.
Well, look for Blanchet tonight to use the screen game to their advantage against a very big and physical defensive front for Pleasant Hill.
Handoff will go to the running back, and he is taken down. That is number 8 for Blanchet, Kyle Ruiz, the junior running back, as he picks up close to 3 yards and sets up 2nd down and 7.
Parker Smith, number 52, we saw him before the game as he huddled all of his teammates around the goalpost at the south end of the stadium. Very active defensive linebacker, and he was in on the stop to make the play for Pleasant Hill.
These two teams are evenly matched in a lot of ways. Pleasant Hill and Blanchet actually right next to each other in the 3A power rankings as well. Pleasant Hill 10th and Blanchet 11th. Handoff up the middle goes to the converted fullback, Evan Hansen, who is able to pick up yardage out past the 45-yard line near the 46, setting up a 3rd down and long 2.
Parker Smith again on the tackle. And as you mentioned, Hansen's been pressed into duty at fullback because their junior running back, who'd played fullback for the most of the season, was injured. They had to go into the depth chart to find somebody, so they've changed his number and put him in the backfield at fullback.
Gianella hands off to Ruiz, does not find any running room, though, as once again Parker Smith in on the tackle. And we do have a stoppage in play from our officials, as Parker Smith did lose his helmet. Our officials for this one tonight, Frank Ritchie, the head referee, Gary Rash, our umpire, linesman Gene Bloom, and line judge Jerry Borsberry from the Salem Football Officials Association. So no gain on 3rd down, sets up 4th down and 3.
Well, I'm really not surprised in a game of this magnitude. Blanchet is going to line it up, see if they can get the 3 yards for the 1st down. And a good thing to do while Parker Smith is out of the game.
Bailey Moeller out wide to the left. Handoff will go up the middle, though, and Evan Hansen continues to push. He's still not down, trying to push forward as the Billies jump in there to try and push him back as well. He looks like he will be marked short of the 1st down, so the Billies will take over in Blanchet territory. And a good defensive stand early. We mentioned Parker Smith, who had to go off, leads this team in tackles. That was his 42nd on that 3rd down play, and 32 of those solo. So he's really the heart and soul of this Billies defense.
I'm not really sure why the officials have called for a measurement, because from our vantage point, Fletch, it looks like he's at least a good yard short.
Yeah, he needs to get to the 48-yard line, excuse me. But they did have brought out the sticks to measure. He's a good yard short, so the Billies will take over for their first offensive possession. And Jim, you mentioned Rylan Hayter, a kid who's completing just about 63% of his passes. He's played well for this Billies offense throughout the course of the season. And keep in mind, the Pleasant Hill team 5-3 on the year, but they played 3 teams that were in state finals here in the state of Oregon from last year.
Well, and Jackson Birch is the guy that Hayter looks for the most, number 20, a 6'2", 205-pound senior. So let's see as Hayter lights it up here with Pleasant Hill on their first offensive series of the game. And right away, Blanchet looks like they're going to call timeout.
So Blanchet will call timeout. Birch was up at the top of the screen there, 49 receptions for 7 touchdowns so far this year, and a little trickery earlier this year as he has thrown a touchdown pass as well. But one of the other interesting things in this matchup, and I mentioned it earlier, but Blanchet really looking to get off the deck against Pleasant Hill. As I mentioned, 2 matchups in the past 2 seasons have been dominated by Pleasant Hill. The nice thing for Blanchet here is they're in the playoffs no matter what. There's a lot more on the line for this Pleasant Hill team here tonight.
Well, this is senior night, too. It's the last night for the seniors here for Blanchet, playing their home games here at McCulloch Stadium on the campus of Willamette University. And, again, they do have the luxury of playing this game knowing that regardless of the outcome, they're in. Pleasant Hill on the other side, as we mentioned, they've got to win the game or their season is over.
Pleasant Hill starters up front, Max Jones, senior, all seniors up front. Returners, Parker Smith, the linebacker, plays left guard. Center, Andrew Way. Right guard, Bruce Gibbo. And right tackle, Jacob Baker. So we're ready to go. Hayter will take the snap. Look out to Birch, who's got a lot of running room out there, makes the catch. Pushes off Ruiz, although Ruiz makes a nice job to stick onto that ankle and take him down after about a 6-yard gain.
Well, and I know I mentioned this to you in the pregame, but Rylan Hayter, the kid can throw the football. I mean, that was one of those quick outs where the ball's got to be thrown 15 yards across the field to the sideline, and it gets there quick in a tight spiral. He's going to create some real challenges for the secondary of the Cavaliers tonight.
Temperature in the mid-50s here. It's been raining on and off. It's not raining at the moment, which certainly helps the passing game. This pass completed out to that far side as well, this time looking in the direction of Cody Wilson, who picks up yardage inside the 30-yard line down to the 28.
And they ran exactly the same play, just a little quick hitch route. Wide receiver with the corner playing off 7 to 8 yards. That's just a really easy throw for Hayter, and they move the chains after 2 plays in a row.
So you see the 4 wide receivers, 1 back in the backfield. That's Tanner Olson, who has a touchdown on the year. But they really run on the arm of Hayter, who will look for Wilson once again. The ball bounces right off his chest, and if he would have made that catch, he might still be running now, but the ball falls incomplete, sets up 2nd down and 10.
Well, and the ball was right on the money, Fletcher. He was triple covered. That ball had to be threaded right through 3 defenders, and it was, and I think part of the reason the ball was dropped is that because I think the receiver was quite frankly surprised the ball got through the 3 guys.
So 2nd down and 10. This time the handoff will go up the middle to Olson. He's able to move the pile about a yard before he's pushed back. He'll get down close to the 26-yard line, but Pleasant Hill's first 3rd down thus far on the evening as we are just over 3 minutes into the game, and we are scoreless. Blanchet turned it over on downs before getting across midfield on their first possession, and now Pleasant Hill driving inside the 30-yard line of the Cavaliers.
Pleasant Hill goes with the arm bracelets. So the call comes in from the sideline, probably a number or letter. Everybody looks, and then they're ready to go.
Hayter will fake the handoff, look down the center of the field. He's got his man Birch, who makes the catch. He's got the 1st down inside the 15, down to the 12.
And Hayter, again, just throws one right on the money, finds the tight end on a little drag route, finds that zone in between the linebackers and the safety, and just a great ball and a 1st down for Pleasant Hill.
Pleasant Hill is on a 2-game losing streak coming into this one, losing to Santiam Christian and Salem Academy. So they're looking to right the ship as they try and make a run into the playoffs. They've got 1st and 10 here as Hayter will once again throw the ball. Pass complete to Birch. Gets by the defender. He's into the end zone, and Pleasant Hill on the board here, 6-0, Hayter to Birch.
So they run the football once. They throw the football 5 times and make it look really easy.
There was really no defense given on the outside. When Birch was out there, they were playing a good yardage off.
Well, and here's the challenge now for Blanchet as they try to defend the out and hitch route, is they're going to have to bring those corners up, and now you've got to be concerned about the wide receiver in that one-on-one situation beating you deep.
Birch will attempt the extra point. It is wide left, so the score will remain 6-0. 8:47 left in the first quarter. Back with more after this on Play on Sports.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
One match away from immortality.
Back live at McCulloch Stadium on the campus of Willamette University. Fletcher Johnson, Jim Patterson with you on Play on Sports. 8:47 left in the first quarter. Pleasant Hill just went 47 yards in just over a minute and a half. A touchdown pass from Ryland Hayter to Jackson Birch. That's his 8th touchdown reception on the season. That has Pleasant Hill on top as we get set for Birch's kickoff.
So now Birch has 50 receptions on the year for just over 540 yards. Averages about 7 yards per catch. And his longest touchdown of the season, 60 yards.
Kyle Ruiz and Trey Gianella back deep to receive. Taken by Gianella out past the 25. And he is upended there. So Blanchet comes out for their second offensive possession, and the guy that really runs the defense for Pleasant Hill, Parker Smith, had a good first series that helped slow down the Cavaliers.
Well, you can tell just by watching number 52 as he's slapping his teammates. He's touched every guy on the defense. My sense is he's got a motor that just keeps running. And at that middle linebacker position, he's one of the more physical guys on the field. And so far, on every play he's been in the game, he's been a part of the mix here. Stopping Blanchet.
There's that little counter play that we've become accustomed to over the weeks here in Oregon high school football as Ruiz takes the handoff and picks up close to 3.5 yards.
And guess who's at the bottom of the pile? Number 52, as he looks into the backfield to find the ball carrier, again on another tackle. And as you watch him throughout the game, he is fired up. I think he understands very clearly what Pleasant Hill needs to do tonight.
Yeah, no surprise there. He's a guy who gets it done in all sorts of ways, has a 1.5 sacks on the year, 6 tackles for loss, and a pick, as well as the pass intended for Ruiz. He's not able to hang on to it. May have felt the heat coming, but sets up 3rd down and long for the Cavaliers.
Well, the ball was thrown a little high by Gianella, but Ruiz needs to make that catch. And I think what happens is, as you said, he's thinking about the hit coming, turns his head to look upfield, and just drops the pass.
3rd down and 7 yards to go at their own 34-yard line for the Cavaliers. Trey Gianella looking to get something going. He's got Austin Wittenberg as that wingback on the right side of the formation. He'll drop back to pass. Pressure comes quick, looking out for his man, and the pass behind him. Intended receiver for Gianella was David Leonardo, but it was behind him, so Blanchet will be forced to punt the ball away.
Well, and Gianella just missed getting nailed by Andrew Way, big number 63, on the Pleasant Hill defensive front. Just as he got rid of the football, Way came in and almost lowered the boom.
So Gianella will punt it away. And it is a nice punt. It will be taken and just fallen on it about the 34-yard line by Ryan Smith, the senior wide receiver. So Pleasant Hill made easy work on their first drive on their way down to a touchdown. It was really the Jackson Birch show as Ryland Hayter looked his way on numerous occasions, and that was really one of the matchups we were watching coming into this one.
And let's see if Blanchet is able to, at least with those corners, bring him up in man coverage. But they're still playing off about 7 or 8 yards, and it makes for the easy quick hitch or the out.
And they throw the out this time. The catch made by Charlie Ward. as he picks up about 4 yards. And first time we've had an opportunity to call Ward's name tonight, another big guy in this Billies offense.
Ward just sneaks out of the backfield underneath, so now the linebacker Hansen has got to take him in the flat. Good play by Hansen to keep the Billy gain to about 3 yards.
7.5 minutes, clock running here in the first quarter. 2nd down and 6. Hayter will drop to throw. Quickly looks out, finds his man, I believe that's Wilson. Yes, it is. Spins off one defender and able to fight his way forward and nearly get to that first down yardage. It looks like he'll be about a half yard short.
So in high school football, the ball gets marked where the knee goes down. Officials did a great job there of making a proper spot. He's about a yard short of the first down. And this is the beauty of Pleasant Hill's offense, is they can throw or run for a first down. As of right now, Blanchet having a tough time figuring out as a part of the rhythm how to stop this Billies offense.
Handoff will go up the middle to Ward. Finds some room. Fumbles the ball away, though. And it looks like the Cavaliers were able to jump on it. No signal yet from the officials.
I think, at least from what I saw, Blanchet had covered the football. Pleasant Hill may have gotten a lucky break. It looks like they did as the ball jumped back up. Here's the thing, Fletcher. You never know at the bottom of the pile how many times the ball actually exchanged hands.
That was absolutely incredible. It looked like 2 Cavaliers were there to fall on it. Somehow Pleasant Hill maintains possession. It's 4th down and 1, and it looks like this offense will go for it.
And don't be surprised if they throw the football to get a first down.
They will throw it looking for Birch, who makes the catch. He's got the first down, gets out across midfield and into Cavalier territory down to the 45.
Well, and just a great job on the outside by the wide receivers blocking for each other. Ryan Smith, absolutely a great block as he pins the corner to the sideline, and then Birch is able to cut back inside to get the first down.
So after a stop on 3rd down and nearly a turnover, Pleasant Hill able to convert on 4th down. It's now 1st down and 10 at the 45-yard line for Rylan Hayter. And pressure comes. Hayter will run it. And he's able to pick up minimal yardage moving forward about 2 yards. Hayter certainly a great thrower, not necessarily a guy that's going to pick up a lot of yardage on the ground, though.
And they would really prefer that he not run the football because he's so valuable to this offense. They'd rather keep him in the pocket and let him throw the football. And Blanchet going with the 4- and 5-man front, and then it's just man coverage on every one of the receivers with the free safety really spying the quarterback. So the secondary for Blanchet is going to have their work cut out for him tonight.
Birch down at the bottom of the screen. He's got single coverage. They'll run the screen pass, and they've got it set up well. Coming to the outside, he's got the corner to Ward, and he is gone. Touchdown, Pleasant Hill on the beautifully designed screen pass.
Well, you couldn't have had a better call offensively because they caught Blanchet in a blitz, and once they got the blitz picked up, the lineman had released downfield on the screen. Great downfield blocking by Pleasant Hill. And again, they jump out to a 2-touchdown lead very quickly here in the first quarter. Well executed play.
6th touchdown on the season for Charlie Ward, who is really one of the all-purpose guys for this Billies team. He has 826 all-purpose yards coming into this game. This time the extra point comes from Dylan Ritchie, the junior kicker. It's up and through. So Pleasant Hill out to the early 13-0 lead. Just under 5 minutes left to go here in the first quarter on Play On Sports.
We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful. We're coming in on 1. For more information on how your school can join the Play On School broadcast program, go to playonsports.com/SBP. We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Back live at McCulloch Stadium once again. Fletcher Johnson, Jim Patterson here with you on the Play On Sports Network. Pleasant Hill, 2 drives and 2 touchdowns. They're out to the 13-0 lead. That last touchdown, 47 yards on the screen pass from Ryland Hayter to Charlie Ward.
One of the things we might mention too, Fletcher, is that any touchdown that gets scored in that north end zone down to the west side, because of our camera position, you may have a little obstruction. Not quite sure that you were able to pick up the entire touchdown, but James Conner on our camera doing a great job tonight to get all the action possible.
Gianella picks up the ball at the 5-yard line on the kickoff from Birch, breaks a couple tackles out past the 30-yard line and goes down there. So once again, decent starting field position for that Cavalier offense, who have gotten some things going but really haven't been able to really get any sort of momentum moving forward.
Well, and you can obviously see how important Gianella, Trey, is to the Blanchet football team, because they've got him returning kicks. He's a quarterback, starting quarterback offensively. He plays defensively in the secondary. So he's one of the valuable athletes, and you just want to make sure as he's a kick returner that he can get up and make the play every time as he lines up on the offense.
Handoff goes up the middle to Evan Hansen, who gets the ball out near the 35-yard line. And once again, we'll remind you the playoff scenarios for this one is actually in 3A. This is still the regular season, whereas in the higher levels of high school football here in the state, they're actually already in the play-in round of the playoff. For Blanchet, if they win, they will be the 3rd seed in the playoffs out of the PacWest Conference. They currently sit at number 11 in the standings. If they lose, they would still be in the playoffs, but in the 4th seed out of the PacWest Conference, as Gianella will once again hand it off, this time to Ruiz, who finds some room up the middle, gets the ball out across the 40, enough for a first down out to the 42.
And a real nice job of blocking there by Michael Tuttle, the offensive lineman, number 56, the little cutback, and a good job by the offensive line to get some push against that big physical front of Pleasant Hill, and of course the very active linebacker Parker Smith, number 52.
So first down and 10 for Blanchet at their own 43-yard line. Gianella will hand it off to Wittenberg, who comes around from the right to the left and picks up about 5 yards on first down. And if you're Blanchet, that's really got to be the goal, is pick up positive yardage on first down.
Well, pick up positive yardage so you can put yourself in a manageable second down. They like to primarily run the football, so they don't want to be forced into long passing situations, that 2nd and 8, 3rd and 7 situations. So a good pickup of 4 yards is a good way to start the series.
2nd down and 6. Ruiz will take the handoff, and he's hitting in the backfield. Great defensive work there for Pleasant Hill. In on the tackle was Isaac Lewis, the sophomore, who's getting some time here on the defensive side of the ball, and a big game for the Billies.
Now, Isaac, but Parker Smith again. And the reason that you know Parker is in on a play is just watch him after he gets off the pile. As he did there, he's jumping around, slapping guys on the helmet. He really plays with his hair on fire, and that's what you want from your middle linebacker.
Absolutely. The leader of the defense, the Ray Lewis, if you will, out there. He is wearing number 52. So 3rd down and long now for Blanchet. Ruiz comes out of the backfield, makes the catch. He's got the first down, dives forward inside the 45-yard line, down to the 43. So Blanchet has some things working here as they try and put a score on the board to answer Pleasant Hill's 2 scores here early in the first.
Well, so there's where there's a case where the middle linebacker is playing the run very aggressively. He bites on the play action, and actually his guy Ruiz catches the ball in the flat. Parker got a little bit faked out and had to run 15 yards to make the play. So that's one of those deals where, yeah, he makes a lot of plays, but on play action, he's also got to remember to cover the back out of the backfield.
First down and 10 at the 43-yard line of the Billies. Ruiz will take the handoff. Bit slippery. It seems like guys are slipping off him. Lewis there in on the tackle once again, but how key is it for this Blanchet offense to get something on the board, as it looks like the Billies have taken a timeout?
Well, I think that defensively, Pleasant Hill recognizes right now that they're caught on their heels a little bit. Blanchet has kind of got into a rhythm here, and I think they recognize that it's really important for them to get a score this series. Why? Because Pleasant Hill, once you give them the football, they're going to be tough to stop. I think that clearly Hayter, with his ability to throw the football, it's just putting so much pressure on the defensive secondary. So Blanchet's best defense is to keep the ball away from Pleasant Hill, and that means keep the ball, possess it, and score touchdowns. That's what they're going to need to do to have any chance to win the game.
How difficult can it be when you've played a team a couple straight years and they've blown you out? You've never experienced beating a team, to be able to find a way to come into the game with confidence.
Well, it shouldn't be much motivation if you've lost as bad as Blanchet has lost the last 2 times they've played. I think they've got enough motivation now. They just need to execute.
Ruiz picks up positive yardage as he's eventually pushed out down around the 37-yard line. So that'll set up third down, I should say, and about 4 yards to go for the Cavaliers. And that's one of the toughest things, probably, to keep your kids in the mental mindset that even when you get down, as long as you can put something together on offense, we can stay in this ball game.
Well, absolutely. And what they need to do is just make sure they take care of the football. That's the key right now. I think that Pleasant Hill took the time out, more than likely, to say, look, fellas, we've got to read our keys. We can't overreact, can't be too aggressive. When they hit us with play action, they've hurt us. So I'm sure that was part of it. Read your keys, stay home, be disciplined. And
the rain is coming down harder now as Gianella's pass, looking for his man on the outside, and he's unable to connect with him. Out there was number 34, who we don't have in our programs.
That'd be David Lenardo.
David Lenardo, okay. So looking for him once again. He looked for him once earlier on, but just overthrew him once again, and the rain really coming down now.
Well, and there's no question, Blanchet early in the ball game went for it on 4th down inside their own territory. So this is an easy call. At the 37-yard line, they're going to line up and go for the first down.
4th down and 4. They need to get down to the 33-yard line. Gianella will roll out. He's got his man, makes the catch. There's Leonardo.
Great play.
So he picks up the yardage down to the 27, 1st down and 10, and some nice work by Gianello to suck up the defenders.
Well, so they run the naked boot, and he basically comes out from under center off the reverse pivot. A nice little play-action fake, but a right-hander rolling to the left. That's a tough play unless he gets those shoulders square, and he had Leonardo running the backside drag route, was wide open, got in front of the linebacker. Good play, and Blanchet keeps this drive alive.
1st down and 10 at the 27-yard line of the Billies. Handoff goes to Ruiz, finding room up the middle, but taken down. Maybe a pickup of 2 on the play. Couple Billies defenders in there. Among them was Bruce Gabeau. First time we've called his name tonight, and a couple others.
Sometimes it just takes you a couple series to kind of settle in on offense, and it takes some time for a coach to actually get into the rhythm of making the right play calls. Pleasant Hill, as we saw in their last offensive series, they catch Blanchet in a blitz, they throw a nice screen play, and they score a touchdown. Sometimes it just takes a little time to get into a rhythm, and Blanchet has settled into that nicely here.
Handoff on the counter to Wittenberg, who picks up a couple more yards, but just 2, so it'll be 3rd down and about 5 for the Cavalier offense.
Well, as we've been able to see many of the games we've called where teams that run counter, defensively the important part is stay home. And Tanner Olson that time for Pleasant Hill on that backside, the backside linebacker did a great job and was able to make the play for the Billies.
Could be the last play of the first quarter here. 3rd down and 5. Make it 6. Gianella rolling out. Will throw it late. Finds his man. Leonardo makes the catch. So a great play once again by Gianella, who finds his man with pressure in his face from Bruce Gabeau, who leads this Pleasant Hill team in sacks, and a 1st down for the Cavaliers.
Well, Trey Gianella just did a great job. Very patient. He felt the pressure coming, but he recognized that Leonardo needed to break free. He needed to get into that little pocket in the zone, and Trey held on to the ball just long enough for Leonardo to get open. Again, a 1st down, and Blanchet on the move.
That will do it for the first quarter of action. They will not snap the ball. So 1 quarter in the books. Pleasant Hill has a couple touchdowns on the board, but Blanchet Catholic is threatening. We'll be back with second quarter action after this on the Play On Sports Network. Second quarter of action coming your way here on Play On Sports. Fletcher Johnson, Jim Patterson with you as the rain continues to fall in buckets down here on the campus of Willamette University in Salem, Oregon, the capital here in the state, about an hour south of Portland. And Jim, we hear it all the time talked about, but sometimes your offense can be your best defense, and that looks to be what the Cavaliers are doing here.
Well, as long as you keep Ryland Hayter and Jackson Birch off the field offensively, they can't score on you. And Blanchet has done a good job. I think Justin Hubbard, the head coach for Blanchet, has really kind of fell into a rhythm now. And he's making some great play calls. I like the idea that they're keeping things off balance. They're running play action. They're running sprint action. Give G&L an opportunity to be a triple threat.
Hansen will take the handoff up the middle. Looked like there was a hole there for a moment, but quickly cut down once again by the man whose name we've called all night, Parker Smith.
Well, it's going to be difficult to trap block on Parker Smith. He's just too active. And they did try to run the little trap play there, and Hansen probably did a good job just to pick up the 1 yard. But again, keep the Billies' defense off balance. So you're going to have to mix it up with a little bit of run, a little bit of pass. I like the idea of putting your best athlete on offense, Gianella, in a position where he can distribute the football, he can throw it, or he can be a threat to run.
Gianella will hand it off to Ruiz, who finds some room up the middle. Nice cutback and gets the ball down inside the 10.
Very good cutback, and that's a difficult thing to do. But once he saw the crease, he stuck that right foot in the ground and was able to make that good cutback. Good play by Ruiz, and now they're at least in a third and manageable with about 5 yards to go for first down.
Just inside the 10-yard line, so they can pick up a first down. Close to the 5 is where they need to get the ball from our vantage point, as Mueller will go wide out to the left. And Gianella will drop the throw. Buy some time, looks out to the far side, and the receiver came in too far. Actually, it was the Billy cornerback who had a better chance to intercept it. Ball was intended for number 89, Jake Bartholomew.
Well, I think Jake ran the curl route, and Gianella was looking for him to run the out or the post corner route. And so maybe a mix-up in communication. I'm not so sure that the play wasn't busted at the line of scrimmage because Trey Gianella had to double clutch there. And again, the receiver and the quarterback just not on the same page. But is there any question? It's fourth down. They're going for it.
They're going for it. No field goal attempt here. So Gianella under center. He'll drop the throw. Pressure comes. He's got to get rid of it. Is just able to get it off, but the ball tipped away by Olsen. So Blanchet threatens deep inside the 10-yard line, but are unable to put anything on the board, and Pleasant Hill takes over.
Well, and the official made a good call there. Frank Ritchie, the referee, Gianella's knee was actually down at the 15-yard line before he got rid of the ball, so that's where it'll be spotted after the turnover on downs.
So Pleasant Hill takes over. 2 touchdowns and 2 offensive possessions thus far. They'll look to replicate that here on their third drive. Handoff will go up the middle and nicely read by Blanchet. Looked like Hayter and his running back, I believe Olsen, ran into each other. That was Ward, rather, in there running the ball. But no gain on the play, sets up 2nd and 10.
I tell you, one of the guys defensively for Blanchet that's got his work cut out for him is number 1, Bryce Santabanez, who's got the chore of keeping watch over number 4, Cody Wilson.
The 5'7", 125-pound junior now switches back to that safety spot as Austin Wittenberg comes over to defend Birch. Hayter will look the other way, though, looking downfield, and that actually is for Birch, who nearly makes the catch. Yeah. Flag comes out late. So we'll have to check the flag from our referees tonight out of Salem, but the deep ball, Hayter looking for Birch.
Well, just a good play, a pass interference call, and pretty easy to make, as the defensive back never really turned to find the ball. And then, of course, the contact before the ball ever got to the wideout. So that's an easy call for the official to make, and the right one. So it'll be a 15-yard penalty and a first down for Pleasant Hill.
This Pleasant Hill offense, very experienced. Just 1 junior starter. All the rest are seniors. So lots of experience on the offensive side of the ball for the Billies. And really their offense goes through Ryland Hayter, Jackson Birch, and Charlie Ward. who have really done the majority of the work this season. And again, just stressing to people, 3 losses for Pleasant Hill. They've also played 3 teams that were in state finals last year. Late man trying to get off for the Cavaliers. He does, as Hayter will drop the throw. Pressure comes quickly, and they will drag him down. Great play on the defensive side of the ball by Blanchet. Robert Wilburn in on the sack.
Well, I'll tell you what, that is a classic coverage sack because the guys downfield were absolutely smothered by Blanchet's defense, and Hayter recognized that he was going to need some time in order for somebody to break open. They didn't, and the defensive linemen were able to chase him down. Great job by the defensive secondary for the Cavaliers.
So that sets up 2nd down and 15. The Billies likely to throw the ball here. No surprise, though, as they've thrown it on all of about except 3 plays so far here tonight. They'll look down the center of the field. Oh, nearly a great catch made out there by Ryan Smith. But now 3rd down and 15 for the Billies, and Blanchet close to stopping the Billies for the first time tonight.
Well, when I was coaching, you'd call out the old alligator arms because you see the free safety, and you know as a receiver if you're going to lay out, you might get smacked. And for some reason, you just can't extend your arms all the way out. He kind of short arms it, and the ball falls incomplete.
So hard a lot of the time, too, because you're going to get hit whether you catch the ball or not, so you might as well catch it. 3rd down and 15. Hayter will drop the throw. Wilburn with pressure once again. Here comes Hansen as well. Ball deep down the field, and Ruiz nearly jumps up to make a great play. He came off of Ryan Smith as the ball was intended for Cody Wilson and nearly made the interception.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm starting to pick up on, and maybe this is a bit of a theme, you know, with as explosive an offense as Pleasant Hill appears to have, in a couple of their losses here, the last 2 games, they've only put up 13 and 14 points per game. And one of the things I've noticed here is they like the long ball. They like to go vertical and really stretch the field. Blanchet has done a good job with downfield coverage. I think they ought to go back to the underneath stuff, the higher percentage pass, get the ball to your athletes and let them make plays.
Birch's kick will be taken by Gianella. No, he will not be able to get on top of this one as it will roll dead right around the 26-yard line. So a great kick by Birch as it will net, about 49 yards. So Blanchet takes over. They saw some good momentum on their last drive that stalled inside the 10-yard line.
Well, they possessed the ball for, I think, close to 8 minutes, and they got nothing for it. And they need to make sure that once they get inside the red zone, the Pleasant Hill 20-yard line, they got down to the 10-yard line on this last series. They have to convert those opportunities into points.
Pleasant Hill's defense, certainly an aggressive defense, and Blanchet has found ways thus far to exploit that with the screen pass, with passes across the middle that suck the linebackers up. We'll see if they do more of the same here. 1st down and 10 at the 26-yard line. Run a little misdirection pitch to Ruiz, who finds some room to work and able to get the ball out past the 35 to the 37-yard line, which should be good enough for a 1st down.
Well, what a great job by Ruiz, too, because he felt the pressure on the backside. I don't know if you noticed that, but 63 Andrew Way came in from the blind side and actually tried to steal the football, and Ruiz with a nice job of covering it up once he knew he was going to get contact. That was a great play.
And a great job to catch the pitch as well, as it was a bit funky getting out to him there in the backfield, but an 11-yard gain sets up 1st down and 10 once again for the Cavaliers. 8:25 clock running here in the 2nd quarter. Handoff to Evan Hansen goes nowhere as Parker Smith, the middle linebacker, in again on the tackle.
Well, Parker Smith is probably as good at making a pile as any linebacker I've seen all season, and we've called 6A and 5A games. This guy is really active. I mean, you watch at the snap of the football, he's got both feet chopping into the ground, and he does kind of look like Ray Lewis. I got to say it, number 52. I mean, he gets down into that stance where he's got those feet moving, and he is looking for the football. That time he just made a pile and made it absolutely impossible for any yards to be gained. Check him out.
Right there in the center.
Boom.
Chopping those feet. Ruiz will take the handoff on the little reverse, if you will, and just barely able to get back to the original line of scrimmage.
Well, so Birch makes the initial stop, but there's Parker Smith again to make the cover. Really about a half-yard gain is all they get. And if you're Pleasant Hill, this is exactly what you want to do to Blanchet. You want to put them in these 3rd and 10 situations. You know that they're probably going to have to throw the football. Now you can let your defensive linemen just pin their ears back, put a lot of pressure on Gianella, and hope to force a mistake.
Blanchet was in 2A back in 2006 in the Tri-River League. That was their last league championship. Struggled a bit since they made the move to 3A, but still not that bad as Gianella will be pressured, rushes out, avoids one man, and throws it out with his left hand. Flag will come out for roughing.
Yeah, and that's one of those deals. Look at Parker Smith's got his hands up. Hey, wait a minute. We were just pursuing the football. But I think the issue really is Gianella threw the ball with his left hand, and now the official says he's going to wave it off.
So they were checking whether or not it was grounding, whether or not he got the ball back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
So no penalty, so it'll be 4th down and 10 for Blanchet, and likely to punt here as they have the ball at their own 37-yard line. But great pressure from Pleasant Hill, forcing Blanchet not only into the 3rd and 10, but then into the incomplete pass.
Well, so they had 7 guys on the line of scrimmage, and they brought all 7 guys. And, you know, that's what happens when it's a 3rd and 10. They know you've got to throw, and they bring the heat.
Punt will go away from Gianella. Ryan Smith is waiting at his 25, but this one will not get to him as Ruiz will stand over it and down the ball right around the 39-yard line. 6:32 left in the first half. Pleasant Hill on top, 13-0.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
Back live with you once again. 6:32 left in the first half. Pleasant Hill takes over at their own 39-yard line. Handoff up the middle to Ward, and he's swallowed under for a 1-yard loss. So Blanchet, after giving up the 2 touchdowns, really started to stand up here on defense and figure out the Billies.
Yeah, C.J. Schrock that time in the backfield did just a great job to fight his blocker off and makes a play in the backfield for a 1-yard loss.
2nd down and 11 for Ryland Hayter, who has 2 touchdown passes here on the night. Gets hit right as he throws. Ward unable to reel it in, but pressure immediately right up the middle from Wilburn, who's in there once again.
Well, Wilburn puts the pressure on Hayter, and then number 4, Cody Wilson, he's got a guy in his face on the receiving end. So good pressure both in the secondary and by the defensive line by the Cavaliers. And that's what they need to do, Fletcher, is they need to put the pressure on Hayter. You can't let him stand back there with a lot of time. He'll pick you apart.
Keep an eye on Birch. He's at the bottom of your screen. Hayter will look that way. Pressure comes, and he will be taken down on the play. Great blindside blitz from Blanchet that time as once again David Leonardo in on the quarterback.
Well, and I think Blanchet defensively has figured out that, you know, if Pleasant Hill has a weakness, it may be in the pass blocking situations. So they're just bringing the extra guys, really turning up the heat. They're counting on that backside, the guys in the secondary to do a good job man-to-man coverage, which they have the last couple series, and it's a 3 and out. So job well done by Blanchet.
Boy, Pleasant Hill looked good on their first 2 offensive possessions, but have really been stopped cold by Blanchet here recently as Birch's kick will be touched by Gianella, and he's unable to grab it. Cody Wilson will pick it up. The ball cannot be advanced, I believe, at the high school level.
Well, they're going to consider it to be a muff, which means that the ball can't be advanced. It's going to be brought back to where the ball was actually touched by Gianella. The officials, a great job. I saw the black beanbag come out about the 21-yard line. So unfortunate from a standpoint that Gianella, I think he actually wanted to wave for a fair catch and then thought better of it, and it would have been a good idea to try to do that. Not sure whether he lost it in the lights or the rain or what, but that, unfortunately for Blanchet, is very unfortunate. Now Pleasant Hill is going to be in great position at the 21 with an opportunity to score their 3rd touchdown.
Down 13-0, you cannot make those kind of mistakes, especially inside your own 25-yard line. So Ryland Hayter with another opportunity to put some points on the board. Quick throw out to Ward, who makes the catch. Quickly taken down, though, by Austin Wittenberg at the 21.
Great play by Wittenberg, who read that from his outside linebacker, the corner position. Was able to cover it up very quickly. And that's exactly what Blanchet's going to need to do here is another 3 and out. A touchdown here by Pleasant Hill would give them the momentum with only about 4.5 minutes left in the first half.
Second down and 11 yards for Hayter and the Billies. The pass this time caught by Ward, and he breaks one tackle and drags Wittenberg all the way down inside the 5-yard line to the 3-yard line. So Ward a bit uncovered that time, but a tackle could have set up a third down, but they weren't able to bring him down.
Well, I think they brought him out of the slot, and all they did was run a little circle route. He just found the open spot in the zone as the linebackers did not drop back into that zone coverage, and Hayter was able to find him wide open. Then he made another 8 or 9 yards all on his own. Great play and yards after the catch by Ward.
First down and goal at the 3-yard line. Hayter has Olsen and Ward in the backfield with him. Hand off to Ward going right. Does he have the speed to get the corner? He reaches for the goal line, but he'll be about a half yard short. So second down and goal, as it looked like Ward could have gotten the corner there if he would have tried.
Well, and he got quite a bit of the corner, but unfortunately it's because they held. There's a penalty marker on the field at about the 7 or 8 yard line, and the initial indication by referee Gene Ritchie was a hold. So that's going to come, it's a spot foul. It'll be 10 yards from the spot of the foul, and that's a big mistake for Pleasant Hill as they were driving to get that third touchdown.
It's interesting when you look at what Pleasant Hill did on their first 2 drives, because they really attacked Blanchet side to side as opposed to north-south deep down the field. And then when they got away from doing that, they didn't have as much success on offense. Now they've kind of gotten back to that strategy that worked early on. I got a sense that sometimes maybe those high schoolers can fall in love with the deep ball.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how they respond here after the holding penalty.
Second down and 17. So he wants 4:08 on the clock. So we'll wait until our timekeeper is able to put that on the clock. It's interesting when you look at this matchup as well. There is a lot on the line for Pleasant Hill. As we mentioned, they win, they would be the 3 seed in the PacWest. But if they lose, they would be out of the playoffs because they would not own the tiebreaker over Salem Academy since they lost to them last week. So this is basically a playoff game for Pleasant Hill.
Well, and you can see they're playing with the sense of urgency. They just they need to take what's given to them defensively. And I think, again, more of the underneath, short pass, get the ball to guys like Wilson and Ward and let them make plays.
Hayter will drop the throw, setting up the screen out to the left, and he didn't put enough on it. Ward was out there and probably would have scored. There was no one within 10 yards of him, but Hayter didn't put enough on the ball. It falls incomplete.
I don't care who you are at quarterback. When you're in full retreat mode and you're trying to throw the ball with any sort of zip on it as you're falling backwards, that's a tough task. And Hayter was not able to put enough on the ball. So now a second down and essentially goal to go.
3 minutes, 50 seconds left in the first half. Hayter drops the throw. Pressure comes right away. Evan Hansen in there, and they bring him down back outside the 20-yard line at about the 24. So another sack for the Cavaliers, and they've responded well since the turnover.
Well, it's pretty obvious that Blanchet defensively, especially that front line, they have been able to really do a good job of fighting off the blocks. They've got some stunts that they're running, and Hayter is finding a Cavalier in his face just about every time he drops back to pass. And that's one of the things. You can have a great quarterback, but you've got to give him time to throw the football. So the offensive line for the Billies will probably get a talking to here at halftime.
Birch, who was such a big part of those first 2 touchdown drives, really hasn't touched the ball since. They will fake the pass to him. Look out to that far side. Catch made? No, he doesn't catch it inbounds. He made the catch, but he was out of play over there on the far side. That was Ryan Smith who was out there, and that time Birch was used as a decoy.
Well, and there's the difference. If Hayter gets a 3 count or better, he's going to be able to put the ball on the numbers. Unfortunately, Birch just ran out of real estate over there and actually had a foot out of bounds. So now it's a 4th down, and they obviously have no choice, not wanting to kick the field goal, so they'll have to put this into the end zone or it'll be a turnover on downs.
They did bring out Dylan Ritchie, who has kicked 4 field goals this year, or attempted 4 field goals. He's made 3 of them, and now Coach will call timeout.
That tells me that they're still thinking about whether or not they want to take the chance that on a ball that's kicked low, the possibility it gets blocked, it gets taken back for a touchdown. So they're going to talk about this and figure out if they actually want to make the field goal attempt or should they try to get the ball in the end zone and go for the touchdown.
So once again, pleasure to have you with us here on the Play On Sports Network. Fletcher Johnson and Jim Patterson at McCulloch Stadium on the campus of Willamette University in the capital of the state of Oregon, Salem. 13-0, Pleasant Hill scored on their first 2 drives as Jackson Birch caught a touchdown pass and then a 47-yard screen pass from Ryland Hayter to Charlie Ward has the score where we are at now. 2:56 left in the first half, and after a turnover by Blanchet deep in their own territory, they've managed to force a field goal attempt from the Billies.
So the left-footed Ritchie with Hayter on the hold.
Will be about a 40-yard field goal. The kick is
Wow.
up. It's plenty long enough, but this one is wide right. But one heck of a leg on Dylan Ritchie, as that one would have been good from 45 or 47 if it had been straight enough. But Blanchet stands and is able to hold Pleasant Hill off the board and maybe steal a little bit of momentum away as well.
Well, keep in mind, they had the ball down to the 1-yard line. And if not for a holding penalty, they probably score. So Pleasant Hill really more has kept themselves from scoring that 3rd touchdown as much as Blanchet has. So, yeah, this is a break. And now the Cavaliers with 2 minutes and 51 seconds really need to try to get something on the board, even if it's a field goal, some kind of points to give them momentum going into halftime.
Justin Hubbard, the head coach for Blanchet, will look to dial something up here as his quarterback will drop to throw, eludes Birch. A nice play there, and looking for Wittenberg, who is taken down as the ball was in the air. He had a man open way downfield. That was Bartholomew out there, but with the pressure wasn't able to set his feet, Gianella, and get the ball out.
And I'm always amazed at how many times wide receivers at this level will continue to run 45 or 50 yards down the field. The idea might be, hey, look, if I see my quarterback flushed out of the pocket, I got to come back to him.
Yeah, and run at least to the same side.
But Bartholomew did beat his guy deep. No question.
2nd down and 10, and they'll try that little misdirection. Nice cut inside by Ruiz. He's got some room to work, and he gets the ball out to the 39-yard line. So a nice 19-yard pickup. He's eventually forced out by Ryan Smith, but a beautiful cut by Ruiz.
Well, and a more beautiful block by Wittenberg on the corner, number 44. So Gianella comes out with a 2-handed kind of push pass for the toss, and then Ruiz, reading the block of Wittenberg, makes a great cut outside and a good play with a great gain for Blanchet.
It's the new fad, the push pitch. Ruiz takes the handoff. Very patient, beautiful spin move out across midfield, trucks one defender, and down to the 45. So Ruiz in energizing this Blanchet crowd a little bit and his team as well.
That's exactly right, Fletcher. If you're a guy that's watching Ruiz run the football and you see him start to take guys on like Parker Smith and actually move the pile, that's kind of inspiring. That kind of says, hey, fellas, let's pick it up. We need to man up and get something going here. Great job by Ruiz.
Wittenberg unable to find any running room.
Guess who?
Big number 52, Parker Smith.
He loves to hit himself on the head. The old 2-handed smack to his head.
Another sign of being like Ray Lewis.
I'll tell you, it is amazing to me if professional athletes don't get that they can influence young people. All you got to do is watch what we're watching tonight.
Absolutely.
Even the mannerisms on the field.
Pressure coming. Gianella throws it down the field. He was looking for Muller, but a couple yards too short as Muller was running the crossing route. He was open, though, if he would have been able to get there. 3rd down and 10.
Well, and Gianella is very crafty because just when it looks like Pleasant Hill has got him in their sights, he makes a little move, either a step up in the pocket after he sprints out. Another 5 yards, they got a complete pass there.
Gabo was in on the pressure once again. He leads this team in sacks with 4 on the season. But the pressure enough to force a 3rd down and 10. Gianella rolls left. He'll throw it down the field. This one picked off. Cody Wilson cuts inside, brought down right at the 45-yard line. So with 1:33 left, Pleasant Hill will take over, and not a good throw by Gianella that time.
Well, again, a right-hander rolling left, I've said it all season long. That's really a tough throw to make, and unfortunately what winds up happening is you're going to throw into 2, 3, 4-man coverage, and that's exactly what he did. He's trying to make a play. I understand that. But really, you're just better off at that point to throw the ball out of bounds or run out of bounds, stop the clock, and line up to play again. Now let's see if Pleasant Hill tries to go for the deep ball to get a quick score.
Hayter drops to throw. He's got time.
Yep.
He will throw it deep down the field. And this catch is it made? It's made.
Wow.
What a catch. On the outside, was that Charlie Ward out there?
What a play.
I believe it was Charlie Ward able to reel the ball in, and what a big play to move the ball deep into Blanchet territory.
Well, you kind of get a feel that Pleasant Hill is going to line the football up after a turnover and see if they can get a quick strike. And that time, Ward, what a great catch as he fully extends with a defender on him, then comes down and is able to hold on to the ball. That was a terrific catch.
Quickly thrown out to that far side. Birch was the intended receiver. He didn't make the catch and then tries to flop to earn a penalty flag. And
yeah, the official's not convinced.
Not biting on that.
Coaches are giving the stripes an earful too because Birch went down to the ground pretty hard. Randy Fisher, the head coach, he wants to call a timeout.
And Fisher is hot.
Well, I think he's convinced that something bad after the play happened to his wide receiver. And I think as an extension of the play, we had some contact, but I don't know as if it was intentional of any kind. So Coach takes a timeout to say, well, before we get to talking about the play, gentlemen, I want to make sure I give the white hat an earful, which he's done now. And so now they'll focus on, all right, how do we get the ball into the end zone?
He was pointing to his face when he was talking to the officials, so we can only guess as to what he was referring to. But the timeout called, 1:13 left with Pleasant Hill in possession at the Blanchet 23.5-yard line with really an opportunity to take a big-time lead into the break if they are able to put a touchdown on the board. And Blanchet has shown the ability to move the ball, but certainly hasn't shown the ability that once they get inside the red zone, they can score.
Well, and one of the things they can't do is turnovers. So they've got to avoid the interception. They've got to avoid fumbles. And once they get inside the 20-yard line, they've got to score. Now what they need to do is hold Pleasant Hill out of the end zone.
Hayter will drop to throw. He was looking for Wilson in the end zone. Can he get there?
That's a touchdown.
Touchdown, Cody Wilson. What a catch on the outside right at the back of the end zone. And Pleasant Hill has extended their lead.
Well, Hayter did one of those biscuit in the basket. He just threw the ball with a big arc right over top of the defensive secondary. And Wilson was able to run underneath the football. What a great catch right at the boundary. And the key is you've got to catch the ball and possess it all the way to the ground. He was able to do that, and so Pleasant Hill within 40-some seconds is able to put another touchdown, their third, up on the board, and now Blanchet finds themselves in a real deep hole.
Extra point from Dylan Ritchie is up and through. So Pleasant Hill puts another one on the board, this time just about 24 yards on the pass completion from Hayter to Wilson. And with 1:06 left in the first half, Pleasant Hill's on top 20-0 here on Play on Sports.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot this.
Back once again, Pleasant Hill, 24-yard touchdown pass from Ryland Hayter to Cody Wilson in the back of the end zone, has Pleasant Hill on top 20-0. 1:06 left here, Blanchet's senior night. They have not been able to put a point on the board, had one drive stall inside the 10-yard line of Pleasant Hill. And with 1:06 left in the type of offense that the Cavaliers run, probably not much of an opportunity that they have to put anything on the board here before the break, but you never say never.
Well, it'd be great if they maybe get a special teams play here where they can get some decent field position off of a good kick return. Let's see what Gianella can do here.
Takes it at the 3. Taken down by the first man at the 20-yard line as, once again, great work by Pleasant Hill and Isaac Lewis, the sophomore, in on the special teams tackle.
Now, Lewis, the kind of guy that you look for on special teams, somebody who flies down the field with absolutely no fear and then just likes to hit the first thing they see.
It's a sign that you're developing. We often see that at the college level, that you earn your time from what you do on special teams.
Absolutely, and I guarantee you that during the film session now, if you're not a regular but you're playing that aggressively on a special teams, those defensive coaches will pick that up and you might get some playing time.
Minute left, ball at your own 20-yard line. It's a smart move as Evan Hansen takes the handoff, gets out to the 22 to just eat this and go into the break and hope things change in the second half?
Well, especially since you're in a position now where you're inside your own 25-yard line. I mean, clearly you don't want Pleasant Hill to get any kind of points on the board at this point. So with 38 seconds to go, I think it's probably going to be straight handoff. Tell the backs to cover up the football. Let's get into halftime, regroup, talk about some adjustments offensively that we need to make and see what we can do in the second half.
The Billies cannot stop the clock. Blanchet still with 2 timeouts. Handoff will go on the reverse to Wittenberg, and Isaac Lewis in on the tackle back down inside the 20, and he's excited.
Well, and you know things are going your way when the guy who makes the tackle actually gets blocked off by the offensive lineman right into your back. I mean, let's just kneel the ball. Well, it's over anyway. Quarter's over, so Blanchet will get to go in and talk about it.
So 1 half in the books here at McCulloch Stadium on the campus of Willamette University. It's all Pleasant Hill thus far, 20-0. They have the lead. We'll be back with the second half of action about 15 minutes from now here on Play on Sports.
one match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
Second half of action, just moments away here on Play On Sports. McCulloch Stadium, the site here this evening on the campus of Willamette University. Fletcher Johnson and Jim Patterson with you. Jim, in the first half, Pleasant Hill scored 2 touchdowns on their first 2 offensive possessions. Then the game slowed down a bit, but right before the half, they put another one on the board, and they've really dominated the first half. And it's a big game for them because it's basically win and you're in, lose and you're out.
Yeah, and it's not so much that Blanchet looks like they're not playing as if it's an important game, but I don't think that they've been able to slow down the big play offense of Pleasant Hill. There was a stretch there about the end of the first quarter through about halfway of the second where defensively Blanchet up front, lots of pressure on Ryland Hayter, 5 or 6 sacks in the first half. But as soon as Hayter gets some time, and he's able to find the ball, the guys downfield, whether it's the big play guys in Cody Wilson or Charlie Ward, he gets a little time, he picks you apart. And unfortunately, there's just been way too much pressure on the defensive secondary for Blanchet. Offensively, they've had the ball inside the Pleasant Hill 20-yard line a couple times, have not scored, and they need to take advantage of those opportunities. So, Blanchet, hopefully what they've done, they've gone in at halftime, a little bit of regroup, talk about making some adjustments. One thing they can't do is turn the ball over. They're going to have to hold on to the football. We talked about it in the first half. The best defense right now is to keep the ball away from Hayter, get some scores. They're going to have to put 3 on the board plus an extra point. So there it is. It's that easy. Score 3 touchdowns, get each extra point, you win by 1, 21-20.
There you go, and the defense has to step up to be able to do so. But as you mentioned, Blanchet's defense, for the most part, really played some pretty good ball, 5 or 6 sacks over the course of the first half, and just gave up some big plays. Obviously, the 47-yard touchdown pass on the screen pass to Charlie Ward from Ryland Hayter was one of the biggest of them all. The 24-yard touchdown to Cody Wilson right before the end of the half for Pleasant Hill has us where we are at right now, 20-0. Blanchet offensively, you talked a little bit about it, but strategically, anything need to change for them to be able to move the ball more consistently, or is it just executing what they've done thus far?
Well, it's executing what they've done so far, but here's the issue. They've got to kick the ball to Pleasant Hill. I think this is a huge series to start the second half because you mentioned it in the first half. Blanchet has been on the short end of the stick in a big way the last couple years to Pleasant Hill. If Pleasant Hill scores here in this series, the game could get out of hand because now that doubt starts to creep in the kid's head. Well, we've seen this picture before, right? So this is going to be a big, big, big series for Blanchet defensively.
Cody Wilson, Charlie Ward back deep to receive, and this kick will go out of bounds. So Pleasant Hill will take over in very good field position. Ryland Hayter had a pretty darn good first half. No interceptions, 3 touchdowns, some incomplete passes, but some beautiful ones dropped over the top, and he will lead the troops out once again for their first possession of the second half, and he's really spread the ball around well too.
And again, if he gets time, if he can stand in the pocket and find receivers downfield, he's got the ability, because of his mechanics and a great arm, he's going to find a guy.
Hayter out of shotgun. Will hand it off up the middle. Ward finds a hole and takes it out close to the 44-yard line. That'll be a 9-yard gain on first down. So hitting Blanchet was something they were not accustomed to there in the first half, and that's the ground game.
Well, and the worst thing that you can have happen if you're Blanchet is that your free safety, oh, by the way, your quarterback, Trey Gianella, has to make a touchdown-saving tackle in the secondary.
Second down and 1. Hayter will throw it out. Ryan Smith able to reel it in, make the catch, as early in the first half, he alligator armed one. This time, not so much, able to reel it in and got hit but at least this time he reeled it in.
Well, he made a great catch there, and again, he knew Gianella was coming from the safety position. What they're doing is they're going with the twin formation, and they're going to run one of the receivers on a vertical route. They run the inside guy on the slant, and because the linebacker's not coming out off of play action, it's an easy pass and catch, and then yards after, easy first down for Pleasant Hill.
So the ball now at the 48-yard line of the Cavaliers. Cavaliers in the all blue with the white helmets. Pleasant Hill in the all whites with the black helmets. Handoff goes to Olson up the middle, and he's not able to pick up any yards as his knee goes down at the 48. So Pleasant Hill using a little bit more of the ground game to keep the clock moving here in the second half with a 20-point lead.
Well, and they also want to then be able to run play action. So run the ball just enough so that when you do run play action, those linebackers bite and you find some room in the middle of the field.
An interesting look over here. Birch is up at the top of the screen, played a big role in the first 2 touchdown drives, really hasn't seen the ball a lot since. This time we swung out to Wilson, who breaks the tackle, cuts inside, down inside the 40 and taken down at the 38-yard line.
And it should be another first down for Pleasant Hill. So we talked about it. This was a big series for Blanchet on the defense, because this is how games can get away from you. Right here, team comes out, they're already up 20-zip, they put another one on you. Now all of a sudden, that climb back, it just becomes even more difficult. And Blanchet is really going to have to pick themselves up here and try to make this defensive stand.
I think there's a future star there in that ball boy that was running back and forth on and off the field. As this time the handoff goes up the middle to Olson. And down inside the 35 to the 34. Certainly one of my favorite parts of high school football is watching those little guys run on and off the field.
Well, and it is true that ball boys can become pretty good players, because I can remember my son in Sherwood started out as a ball boy and wound up playing on a state championship football team as a wide receiver. So they do get some work out there.
Yeah, definitely. Those kids are tired at the end of the night. That's for certain. As Ward takes the handoff, fumbles the ball. Is he able to get back on top of it? It looks like he is.
All the bounces are going to the Billies.
They really are. Trey
Billy
Gianella
bounces.
was there.
Billy bounces. That's what those are.
BBs.
Yeah.
Creating our own lingo up here. I love it. Sets up third down, and not 26 as it says on the scoreboard. Try about 1.5 yards. 9.5 minutes left in the third quarter. Pleasant Hill leading 20-0. Wilson split out wide to the right and Smith wide to the left. Fake the handoff up the middle. Hayter will keep it. Picks up the first down and gets inside the 25 to about the 23.5-yard line.
Well, I'm kind of interested because Charlie Ward looked like he just simply cut his pitch relationship route off, and Hayter looked at him like, so are we going to run the play? And decided, I guess I better cut upfield. I don't know whether Ward figured he was going to keep it anyway. We'll keep an eye on him, so make sure that he's not hurt for some reason.
First down and 10 at the 24-yard line. Handoff up the middle to Ward. And he'll fall forward down to about the 23. Ball comes out, but he was already down. And I don't know about you, Jim, but looking at Rylan Hayter out there, the big quarterback number 9, he really dwarfs everybody else at 6'5".
Yeah, he's a big kid and a lot of tools. I don't know if he's getting looks from any teams, but I would say that he's got all the attributes of what could be a very good college quarterback. And he's got a strong arm. He's very accurate. As I said, 63% percentage completions coming into this game.
He'll drop to throw here, looking down the field. He's got a man down there. Puts it up in the air, and making the catch is Cody Wilson. Touchdown, Pleasant Hill.
And one thing he does quite well, Fletcher, he throws a great deep ball. That is 2 touchdown passes to a receiver who gets behind the defensive secondary, and before he hits the out-of-bounds line at the boundary in the back of the end zone, the ball falls right in. So a great ball by Hayter and a super catch on the other end.
And you feel bad for Bryce Santabanez, who was the one who got beat on the play once again. He got beat on the touchdown at the end of the first half. And it looks like Pleasant Hill will go for two as Ryland Hayter is in shotgun with Olson to his right.
And my guess is he's going to throw the football, maybe some sort of sprint out action.
Pressure comes quickly, and he will be taken down. Great pressure from the Cavaliers not to allow anything. Jake Handren in there, as well as Evan Hansen and also Robert Wilburn.
Well, one thing we know about the character of the Cavaliers, they won't quit. They're going to keep coming. And again, I think the issue right now that you've got to be thinking about, if you're coach for Blanchet, you've got to be thinking about, okay, look, the chances that we get back into this game may be slim, the way Pleasant Hill's playing. But what you want to make sure that you do is you're in the playoffs. Going into next week, you've got to do some things, build on some positive. Maybe it's in the special teams game. Maybe it's to get a good sustained drive against a pretty good Pleasant Hill defense. I think that's really what you want to be talking to your kids about right now. It's not as much we need to make huge plays to get back into this game. Let's just do some things and do them well, because we do have another game to play next week.
And it's tough because they did play Scio, who will likely win this league, a team that made the state final last year at their level. They lost to them 45-12 last week, so tough taking possibly two losses into the playoffs, barring a big comeback here tonight. But like you said, probably better to try and find something smaller to build on at this point, because you are in the playoffs. You are one of the final 16 teams playing at the 3A level. And we'll see if Blanchet can get anything going here as Gianella will take the ball at the 5-yard line. Brings it up and taken down close to the 24. So the quarterback / safety / kick returner / punter will start out with the offense at the 24-yard line, trailing 26-0 with 8 minutes left in the third quarter.
Well, and you mentioned Scio. They beat Pleasant Hill 58-7. Scio is going to be the number 1 ranked team in the PAC conference. They're a good football team. And, you know, these guys are going to be happy just to get in.
So the handoff picks up 2 yards on the play, does Ruiz. And he was really one of the bright spots in the first half for Blanchet, made some nice moves and showed some versatility there in the running back position.
And they've given him the ball quite a bit. Obviously one of their better running backs. The offensive line has done a pretty good job. Parker Smith has been really the problem for Blanchet, a very active middle linebacker.
And it's interesting because even on a play like that where Ruiz picks up 3 yards, the hole he was initially looking at, Parker Smith went and filled.
Well, he's got a great gift and ability to find the football. And again, that's one of those things as a middle linebacker that you coach, is that A, you want to keep defensive players away from your body, so get the hands extended, and then those eyes are always in the backfield, always looking for the ball.
3rd down and 4 for Blanchet. 3 backs in the backfield behind Gianella. Handed off to Wittenberg. He's got some room. He's still on his feet. Taken down by Ryan Smith as he crosses midfield into Billy's territory at the 49.
Well, you know, one of the ways that a lot of times you want to try to attack an aggressive defense, and particularly an aggressive player, is quick hitting plays, a lot of counters. That's exactly what they did there. You're a lot better off running right at guys instead of allowing them to run from side to side, shed a blocker, and find the football. And a great play there as Wittenberg found a lot of room in the secondary, and that's the kind of stuff that Blanchet wants to see as they build momentum for the playoffs next week.
1st down and 10. Handed off to Ruiz. He's got some room.
There you go.
He's busting down inside the 30. Taken down by Wilson and Smith as he crosses inside the 25 to the 23.
So great line blocking at the point of attack, and then you've got a running back who once he finds that little chute, gets his nose upfield, takes on a couple blockers, and makes a great first down. I mean, that's what Blanchet needs to do. This is about building some confidence as you move towards the playoffs.
He's a slippery little guy. Kyle Ruiz, the 5'11", 170-pound junior, who certainly racked up some good rushing yards on the season. And late, we have a personal foul face mask on Pleasant Hill, so tack half the yards to the goal onto that, and the ball's down inside the 11, and another opportunity for Blanchet to put some points on the board.
Well, they absolutely need to put some points on the board. Let's score a touchdown here. Great way to build momentum and confidence in your football team when you're playing against a team that for the last couple years has dominated.
And they give 5 yards back there as some miscommunication on the snap count. Basically the entire offensive line jumps, so push them back 5 yards. It'll be first down and 15 from the 16, or make it in between the 16 and 17-yard line. So shooting yourself in the foot after you pick up a big penalty, maybe not what the coach wants to see.
Well, and here's what happens. When you've got all your offensive linemen jumping and the center still got the ball, he got the snap count wrong. I think everybody was going on 1, and he was snapping it on 2.
Parker Smith trying to rally the troops on the defensive side of the ball for the Billies.
He's been doing that the whole game.
The whole game. Just endless amounts of energy on the defense from Parker Smith. And they'll run that little misdirection this time. And he's able to escape away, though, does Ruiz. And gets the ball down to the 11-yard line. Don't know how he escaped the grasp of Tanner Olson, but he does, and manages to pick up positive yardage in the process.
Well, Isaac Lewis not happy with himself either, because he had Ruiz caught in the backfield. And Ruiz did a great job, again, spinning out of a tackle and get some positive yardage to pick about 6 yards up. So they've got the penalty yardage back, and now a second down. So a good play by Ruiz, because actually Pleasant Hill had that play defended pretty well.
Second down and 9, just inside the 11. Gianella drops a pass. It's actually a draw, though, and he falls forward down to the 6-yard line. So a pickup of 5 yards sets up a third and manageable. And you know that really, even though it's third down, this is 2-down territory for the Cavalier offense. No field goal kicker, so they will go for it even if they don't pick up enough yardage for the first down here on third.
And just a reminder, again, if we get a play down in that northwest corner of the end zone, we may have some obstruction from where the camera's at. Hopefully they'll run the wide side of the field.
And the handoff on that little counter as Olson upends Austin Wittenberg. So no gain on the play. It'll set up 4th down and 4. And if Olson doesn't make that play, Wittenberg probably scores.
No question about it. And I will say this. I really like the enthusiasm and the energy that Pleasant Hill brings to the defensive side of their game. I mean, it's not just Parker Smith who's playing with his hair on fire. Every one of those guys. A lot of emotion, and again, it's because they understand how important this game is. They want to play again next week.
Absolutely. 4th down and 4 from the 6-yard line. Gianella will drop the throw. He's got a lot of room to run. He will run it, and he gets stood up at the 1-yard line. He will have the first down, so he did pick up the first down. Didn't quite get to the goal line.
Couple things I really like, and I talked about it in the first half. Get him outside where he becomes a threat to throw or pass or run the football. And that's what he did. He attacked the corner, found himself with some running room. He picks up the first down, and now they've got an opportunity 4 times now to get the football in the end zone. So a great play by Gianella, and I like what Coach Hubbard did to get that kid in a position where he can make a play.
Lots of opportunities or different options out of this wing T offense, and Gianella will just run it up the middle and try and bounce it over the goal line.
I think he's in.
No signal from the officials yet.
No, they're going to say short.
They're going to say he's about 6 to 8 inches short, it looks like, from our vantage point. So it'll be 2nd down and goal inside the 1-yard line. Got about 3 minutes and 19 seconds left in the third quarter.
So now the the key right here is ball security. You don't want to work your way all the way down to the 6-inch line and turn the ball over. But I think this is probably going to be, fellas, we're going to line up and we're going to run right at them. All right? So maybe something off of a trap to Hansen, quarterback sneak of some kind. Let's see if Blanchet can put the ball in the end zone.
Just a quarterback sneak once again. This time it looks like he's in, and yes, there's the signal. So Blanchet on the board, 2:42 left in the third quarter, 26-6 Pleasant Hill with the lead, but Gianella's 1-yard quarterback sneak has the Cavaliers on the board.
Well, and that gives them something to feel really positive about. They did exactly what they needed to do after they get dinged with a first touchdown to start the second half. They get the ball back, move it right down the field, put it into the end zone. A good answer by the Cavaliers.
They will set up for the extra point as Jake Bartholomew is out to attempt it. The sophomore wide receiver, also place kicker, and this one is blocked. So the play blown dead after the block, and who else but Parker Smith in there blocking the extra point. So he's doing it on all aspects of the game here tonight. 26-6, Pleasant Hill has the lead here on Play on Sports. Back live at McCulloch Stadium on the campus of Willamette University. Fletcher Johnson, Jim Patterson here with you on Play on Sports. As Blanchet's quarterback Trey Gianello on the 1-yard quarterback sneak has Blanchet on the board. 26-6. Pleasant Hill now has the lead. This game important for both teams, but much more important for Pleasant Hill as they need really a win to get into the playoffs and be one of those top 4 teams in the PacWest Conference at the 3A level of high school football here in the state of Oregon. 6A, 5A, and 4A already in play-in games tonight. 3A, 2A, 1A will start next week in the play-in rounds. So we are at the final regular season, if you will, of high school football, or final regular season week of high school football here in the state of Oregon. Jake Bartholomew set to kick off. His last kickoff went out of bounds, and this time gets a better foot on it and will be taken by Ryan Smith at his own 16. Big hole up the middle. Flag comes out as Smith gets across the 40 to the 41. Make that Ward who returned it.
You know, sometimes, and especially from our vantage point, you wonder what guys are thinking. So Wittenberg for Blanchet is running downfield, and right in front of the official, 2 Pleasant Hill players block him in the back. I mean, it's not... You don't need to do that, and that's the kind of stuff that will make your, as a coach, you just want to pull your hair out because it's totally unnecessary, and clearly more than one official saw it, and now it's going to cost them the 10 yards for the block in the back.
And really in the position that Pleasant Hill's in, while this game is still in doubt, they are certainly in control, and it's those kind of things moving into the playoffs that you cannot have if you're going to compete at the highest level.
Well, the other thing is there's still quite a bit of football left, and football's a funny game. It's all about momentum. And the last thing you want is for Blanchet to think they actually have a chance to win the game. So you need to eliminate those kinds of silly penalties.
A bit surprising that Jackson Birch hasn't been more involved in the offense after those first 2 offensive possessions.
Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't gone to the more quick hitting stuff, the hooks and the curls.
Ward will take the handoff this time, and he's driven backwards. Gets the ball to the 17 before he's pushed back by Gianello and Ruiz, and certainly Blanchet playing with some more energy on defense.
Well, that's exactly what, Justin Hubbard, the head coach, probably said, fellas, what I want to see is I want to see energy, and I want to see you play as hard as you can. And again, they've scored a touchdown. Now they get the penalty. Pleasant Hill's in tough field position, and they get a good play on defense on a first down. So that's what they need to keep doing.
2nd down and 10. Clock under 2 minutes in the third quarter. Hayter drops to throw. He will look deep down the field as receivers stop the route as Moeller tried to run it down, the cornerback for the Cavaliers. He's unable to get to it. Pass falls incomplete, though, and it'll be 3rd down and 10.
And one of the things I can tell, I mean, probably starting in, June when they did passing leagues, you can tell that Ryland Hayter, with his receivers, spent a lot of time throwing deep balls, a lot of go routes, probably had the drill where you put a trash bucket in the corner of the end zone, and the job is to get the ball up in the air and try to put the ball in the basket. He's very, very good at throwing the ball deep downfield.
And he will look to throw deep down the field once again, though. This time, a couple of Blanchet defenders in there, and among them, number 66, Robert Wilburn, and also Brian Fitzpatrick in for the combined sack on the big 6'5 quarterback.
Well, they tried to run a wheel route to the top of the screen, and the play just took too long to develop. It was covered pretty well, and the defense was able to get some pressure from the defensive front line, and they were able to sack Ryland Hayter for a loss.
And it's 4th down and 16 now, so Pleasant Hill will have to punt it away. Birch back to punt it, and Ruiz stands it about midfield. And he will just let this one bounce over on the far side. It will take a Pleasant Hill hop down inside the 45-yard line of Blanchet and roll dead at the 44. So Blanchet, after scoring their first touchdown, gets a defensive stop. They'll take over when we come back. 26-6, Pleasant Hill has the lead just before the end of the 3rd quarter here on Play on Sports.
We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Do you want me to start the stream?
Start the stream. Camera 3. Beautiful.
We're coming in on 1.
.52 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Blanchet takes over on offense at their own 44-yard line. Dropping to throw is Gianello. Drops it out to Ruiz, who makes one man miss. Gets across midfield, down to the 48-yard line. Taken out by Lewis, but not after a gain of 8 yards on the play.
Well, I love that. Cody Wilson, a class act on defense. Cody got faked out big time by Ruiz, and as Ruiz went back to the huddle, he kind of gave him a pat on the head and said, hey, nice move, fella.
So 2nd down and 2, clock stopped. Blanchet looking to get back into this game. They certainly have the momentum right now, and what another touchdown would do, we can only know. Ruiz takes the handoff on the counter, and he's able to fall forward for the 1st down. So positive yards by Ruiz. No matter how he gets the ball, he manages to fall forward there.
Well, and that's exactly what you want from a running back, is that, obviously keep the legs moving, and they go through all kinds of drills throughout the, daily doubles and during the summer. But then falling forward, like you mentioned, that's really the 2nd and 3rd effort. That time he picks up the 1st down.
So the ball now on the 45-yard line of Pleasant Hill. As Gianello will drop to throw. Drops it off to Ruiz, who once again makes a couple men miss. Gets it down inside the 40 to the 37.
Well, and what I love about Ruiz is that rather than catch the football and then try to run outside and try to beat people with your speed, he catches everybody pursuing the football and then cuts back against the grain. And all of a sudden, it's tough as a defender to put the brakes on to try to tackle him. So a great job by Ruiz. And 3rd quarter's over, and we're going to head into the 4th quarter. And Blanchet with some momentum here.
Certainly with some momentum. We'll bring you the final quarter of action here from McCulloch Stadium next here on Play on Sports.
1 match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
1 quarter of action left here in the regular season for both Pleasant Hill and Blanchet. Blanchet is into the playoffs. Pleasant Hill needs a victory here tonight to punch their ticket, and they are well on their way to doing so, up 26-6 right now over the Cavaliers, although Blanchet scored on their last offensive possession and now driving inside the 40-yard line of the Billies. They will have a 2nd down and 1 at the 37-yard line. So Blanchet doing some things well here, and you almost got the sense there, especially on the last offensive possession for Pleasant Hill, that after they scored the touchdown at the beginning of the 3rd quarter, they may have gotten out of the rhythm because they thought that this one was over.
Well, that's one thing you've got to guard against. I mean, this is a full, 4 quarters of football, 48 minutes. You got to bring it every quarter.
Evan Hansen will take the handoff up the middle, move the ball across the 35 down to the 34, and that's enough for the 1st down. So Blanchet, after a slow start offensively, has really gotten things going here in the 2nd half, and very good job of mixing it up as well, making sure that there are some passes in there with that run game, in which Ruiz has done a good job with here tonight.
Now, again, I think offensively Pleasant Hill is making it easier for Blanchet to get back in the game because they're trying for the home run on just about every play.
Ruiz will take the handoff, pick up about a yard on 1st down. In on the tackle for Pleasant Hill, Bruce Cabot, the senior 215-pound defensive lineman.
And, of course, I'm not going to second-guess the coach or the calls, but from where I'm sitting, they started the game out, Pleasant Hill did, with some pretty good plays to Birch, who was able to run a 10, 12-yard curl route, picked up yardage, move the ball down the field, and they've kind of gone away from that and substituted it with the long ball.
2nd down and 9 at the 33. Gianella will drop the pass. He's got a man out there. Ball falls incomplete. Out of play. Blanchet looking for a penalty flag, but none given.
And I'm not so sure that they're not right. I mean, I think one of the things that the official may have been thinking was the ball was a bit underthrown, but there was still a lot of contact downfield, and the defensive back, at least from what I saw, did throw an arm bar. But again, ball might not have been catchable, and that probably was why the official said no harm, no foul.
So that sets up 3rd down and 9 for Gianella and the offense. 3 receivers out in the pattern looking for his receiver, who cannot make the catch. Tried to reel it in with the left hand, but was unable to. And it'll set up 4th down, and Blanchet in the position they're in will need to go for this one here. I think one of the other things that, especially with an offense like Pleasant Hill, how many options does Ryland Hayter have when he drops back to pass? I mean, is it? Do you think the field is wide open for him? I mean, just at the high school level,
yeah,
it's interesting to kind of consider if he's got 1 or 2 options, or if he's throwing to one guy the whole time. We'll talk more about that here coming up. But 4th down and 9 for Blanchet. Gianella looks down the field, and the interception from Tanner Olson. He was looking for Ruiz. The ball underthrown, and Olson makes the play at the 25-yard line. Pleasant Hill will take over there.
Well, so the question is, does Ryland Hayter have more than one guy in a route at any one time where he's actually looking to throw the football? And the answer is, yeah. They usually are going to go with 4 guys wide, and Hayter's the kind of quarterback who you can see obviously is reading his first option, then looking down for checkdowns. They'll have 4 guys in this route, including the tight end. So, yeah, he's got more than one option, but at this point they're probably going to be happy just to run the football.
Ward takes the handoff up the middle for about a yard on 1st down. Ward's been a workhorse, has a 47-yard touchdown reception on a screen pass. Cody Wilson has a couple touchdowns on the night as well. But as we roll under 10 minutes left to go here in the 4th quarter, Pleasant Hill maintaining a 20-point lead with the ball. Ward with the handoff once again will move the ball out past the 30, close to the 31, and brings up something interesting as we look at high school football here in the state of Oregon. There was some discussion after reclassification was done in 2006 to move to 6 different levels, whereas it was 4 before. There's been some discussion as to whether or not to reclassify once again. There's some special districts at each level that schools aren't necessarily happy that they have, because those schools have to travel further to play other schools, and there's been a sociocultural option that was voted down, as Hayter will throw it out, and the reception is made by his receiver out near the 40-yard line. That's Isaac Lewis, who's able to reel it in, and he's excited, as you would expect, as he's been all night.
Isaac's been excited all night long.
But what do you make of the option to possibly move back to a 5-class system next year?
Well, I mean, I guess I look at it and say if things aren't broke, you probably shouldn't tinker around too much with it. A lot of it has to do with scheduling and travel. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And I think that at different levels, some people think, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. It'd be nicer to have more teams in each one of the leagues so that you could maybe have an 8-team league as opposed to what they have right now in the Metro League. But then you've got coaches like Randy Nyquist down in West Albany who said, hey, look, the move to 5A, when you look at what's happened, has really been good for our school. We've been able to compete for state championships, win a couple, and the question is, if we get stuck with teams like Lake Oswego and Sheldon, what does that do for us? So there are a lot of questions, and obviously the OSAA, Tom Welter, and the Associate Executive Director, Peter Weber, they're seriously thinking and working with all of the member schools to figure out, first and foremost, what's best for the athletes, and then figure out, does it make sense from an economic standpoint? So a lot of questions to be asked, and a lot of people with opinions.
And it's a really interesting thing, too, is it's a 3rd down and 1 for the Billies, as Isaac Lewis picked up 2 yards there on the last carry. Ryland Hayter will be in shotgun as we are under 8 minutes left to go in the 4th quarter. Quickly handed off up the middle, but a flag comes out. So this likely a false start, but we'll await the call, and it is a false start on Pleasant Hill's offense, so push them back 5 yards. It'll set up 3rd down and 6. One of the other big discussions, and it's more at the higher levels than it is at the lower levels, but schools like Jesuit and Central Catholic, which year in and year out seem to dominate the top level of high school football, a lot of people calling for them and maybe other private schools to be in a league of their own. Are there enough teams in this state that could be competitive to really make something like that work?
Well, I mean, that's a good question, but I also look at it from a standpoint that I think those types of teams actually raise the level of everybody else in their league. I think, there's an argument that could be made by teams who perennially can't beat a team like a Jesuit or a Central Catholic, where they say, maybe we ought to put them in their own league, as you said. On the other hand, those are the kinds of programs that you can point to if you're a coach in that league and say, that's what we aspire to be. And you can start working with your kids and building programs to get that good. Let's not forget, Jesuit has had a lot tougher time this season than they've had in years past, because teams like Southridge, Aloha, they've all raised their game. I don't think that's bad for high school football.
The pass from Hayter to Smith picks up the 1st down, as Ward moves the pile down to the 45-yard line. And, first time in a while, with that being said, it's the first time in a while Jesuit has not won the Metro League, and Central Catholic made it to the semifinals at the 6A level for the first time in a very long time in their storied past in football. So while those schools certainly take up a lot of the headlines, they haven't necessarily finished off the run, and that's the hardest thing to do. You look at a school like Aloha a couple of years ago that was able to complete a state championship run, beating Tualatin, and then last year it was Sheldon and Lake Oswego, another team that had gotten to the final numerous times but had never been able to close the deal. They finally do against Sheldon. So there's certainly a lot of parity at high school football no matter what level you're at. This time Hayter will hand it off to Lewis, I believe.
And you can tell at this point, Pleasant Hill is really satisfied to run the clock all the way down until they need to make that snap. They've got 5:52 left in the game, and clearly they're going to go on to win. They needed to so that they can extend their season. both these teams will be in the playoffs. They get to play next week, and the dream, the goal of every program to be that state champion, still alive for both teams tonight. So I guess that's the upside, is that both teams leave, one a loser and one a real big winner, because they get to play again.
Hayter will drop the throw, looking down the center of the field for Smith, who makes the catch down inside the 30 to the 27-yard line, and a great diving grab, or sliding grab, I should say, from Ryan Smith. And we've said it a couple times in the first half, Pleasant Hill's played 3 teams this season that were in state finals last year.
Yeah.
So you look at a 5-3 record, it's maybe not indicative of how good this team can be.
Well, and I think just the fact that they have big play, explosive type play, their deep threat because of Hayter, they're going to be able to line up and compete against any team. Now, Scio, yeah, they beat them 58-7, but let's just say they get another shot. It's always tough to beat a second team or a team for the second time.
Olson takes the handoff down to the 21-yard line as it's really raining now. We kind of had a bit of a respite there at the beginning of the second half, but the rain falling like the dickens now.
Well, this is what it was like when I got here at 6 o'clock. I mean, it was coming down.
Yeah.
And then we had that little break in between where pretty much for most of the football game it's been dry, but it's back again.
Back again, just in time for the drive home. 4:31 clock running here in the fourth quarter. Hayter will take the snap, hand it off up the middle to Olson, who
Turf
had
shark.
a hole so big that he just tripped over his own feet getting through it.
That was the turf shark, got up and got him. He probably, if he stays on his feet, gets another 10, 15 yards.
These are tough games to play in when you're on the losing side. I remember playing in a game against Central Catholic, and we were losing 40-0, and it was a downpour, and the rain felt wetter and colder than it ever had before.
Yeah, I think there'll be some fellas that'll be happy to get inside and get dry.
3rd down and 5. Hand off to Lewis up the middle, and he's sucked under by Evan Hansen.
The bottom line is sometimes teams will get on a streak where, they've just got your number. You try as you might to figure out ways to, break through. And it doesn't happen. And so now for the 3rd year in a row, Pleasant Hill will have played Blanchet and essentially dominated each one of those games.
This one a lot closer than the last two,
though.
Oh,
absolutely. And again, I think that Blanchet only put 6 points up on the board so far, but the way they did it, they answered a score by Pleasant Hill to start the second half when they could have, in fact, because I had talked about that, that could break the game wide open. Well, the game hasn't been broken wide open. They did answer, did some good things on that drive, and that gives them some things to point to as they look towards their playoff game next week.
Absolutely, and I think that that's one of those things that you look at the last 2 matchups for Blanchet with Pleasant Hill. Pleasant Hill won by 46 in each matchup. They're only up by 20 here, and really the game was in doubt even up until about 6 or 7 minutes ago, in the sense that if Blanchet got something going, and especially right before the Tanner Olson interception when the Cavaliers had the ball inside the 30-yard line of Pleasant Hill, if they could have put a score on the board there, we could be looking at a completely different ball game. It just hasn't gone their way here late in the second half, and then Pleasant Hill's gone on a nice drive here. 4th down and 4 as Blanchet called the timeout to stop the clock. Hayter's in the shotgun, 3 receivers to his right. Wilson split left. Pass goes out. Catch made by Smith. He's got the first down, breaks a couple tackles, and Gianella eventually brings him down, but not before he gets inside the 10-yard line. And who's the first man over there to congratulate him? Isaac Lewis, who's just happy to be out playing in the rain and knowing he has another week ahead of him in his high school football season.
Now, those are the kinds of guys that can really lift the energy and the spirit of everybody around him. I'll bet Isaac Lewis and Parker Smith are pretty fun guys to be around.
So the clock stopped with 3 minutes and 25 seconds left because Smith was dragged down out of bounds. Handoff will go up the middle to Isaac Lewis, and he's swallowed under very quickly. He does not get the ball back to the original line of scrimmage. Loss of about a yard on first down. And credit to the Pleasant Hill big guys up front, Max Jones, Parker Smith, Andrew Way, Bruce Cabot, and Jacob Baker, as they've really dominated the line of scrimmage. Here in the second half, there were some times in the first half where Hayter would drop back to throw, and that Blanchet defensive line was in there on him quick.
Well, one of the things they did well, I'm talking about the offensive linemen in the second half, was they did a much better job of pass protection, so not nearly as many sacks of Hayter here in the second half.
Isaac Lewis with the handoff once again and gets it back to the 11-yard line. So third down and goal from the 11. Rolling under 2.5 minutes left to play. As we look at some other scores from around the state at different levels. Westview on top of Hillsborough High School 55-7 in the third quarter. Mountain View crushes Park Rose 56-20. Hermiston blows out Sandy 50-0. Churchill on top of Milwaukee 34-20. Roosevelt beats Pendleton 43-20. David Douglas gets a victory over Newburgh 44-21. Camas in Southwest Washington 43-6 over South Kitsap.
How about Roosevelt? I mean, now there is a great story about how a coach goes into a program that really has kind of been left for dead. The community around Roosevelt gets some of their old alumni, folks that have done quite well in business. They rally the community. They get a new turf field out there, and now they're winning a playoff game. And I mean, it's been a couple years, and they have totally turned that program around. That's exciting to be able to see that.
The Rough Riders.
And they made it rough on Pendleton tonight, obviously.
They certainly did. And that is a nice field out there in northeast Portland, as Hayter will take it, and trying to break the leg tackle is unable to, as Bartholomew able to drag down Hayter, the 6'5 quarterback, taken down by the 5'11 defensive back. Stays in play, clock running under 2 minutes left to go. Fourth down and goal for the Pleasant Hill Billies inside the 5-yard line.
I don't know if you mentioned this score, but I got word from over in Central Oregon that Lebanon beat Bend 26-8.
26-8, all right.
So they advance. A game of interest because I've got a nephew who plays for the Warriors.
There you go.
So thanks to my brother Mike for the shout out here on the text. That's one of the great things about the new technology. You can really get the word around quick, can't you?
Yeah, I certainly can. As we have another timeout called, and we'll jump out to the break as well. Minute 27 left here in the fourth quarter. Pleasant Hill on top of Blanchet 26-6.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot at this.
Back for a final time here on the Play On Sports Network. Fletcher Johnson, Jim Patterson with you. Minute 27 left at McCulloch Stadium on the campus of Willamette University in Salem, Oregon. Pleasant Hill on their way to a 26-6 victory. And it looks like they will attempt a field goal as Dylan Ritchie, who is 3 for 5 on the season, missed one earlier tonight from about 40 yards. This one will be about a 21-yard attempt. Hayter will hold. The left-footed kicker's kick is up and through the uprights. So tack on 3 more for Pleasant Hill. They now have the lead at 29-6. So Pleasant Hill with the victory tonight clinches a spot in the 3A playoffs and will await the rankings that will come out tomorrow to see who they draw in the playoffs. Right now currently ranked 10th at the 3A level. The 2 teams above them in the league are Scio and Santiam Christian, both of which Pleasant Hill lost to. Blanchet in the 11th spot right now will fall a little bit, but they are in the playoffs as the 4th seed.
I'm glad you had all that figured out before we started. 'Cause, this time of year, it can be a mishmash. I mean, multiple things can wind up happening if one team wins or one team loses. I'm impressed you had this all figured out before the game. That's what good play-by-play guys do, is they get that all taken care of up front.
Well, yeah, there would have been a lot of uhs on the air here if I wouldn't have had this one going. But the other interesting score of note as we look around the state, and one that I think is very interesting at the 5A level, is Hood River and Putnam tied at 14 going into overtime. Putnam, a team that I was very impressed with when I saw Deshaun Stevens, a kid who can really light it up on the offensive side of things. So they're in overtime as Bursch will kick it away, and this one taken once again by Gianella. Cuts it back up into the middle and taken down as he crosses the 25-yard line.
And I want to make sure that we give Trey Gianella a proper shout-out because, the kid has played the entire game. I don't think he left the field except for halftime.
Yeah.
He draws tough duty on punt returns, kick returns. He punts the football. He plays safety. He plays quarterback. He's still standing, and he's still playing hard. So a great job to number 15 for the Cavaliers, Trey Gianella.
And you wonder on the opening snap as Evan Hansen takes the ball out across the 30, close to the 33, or on the opening kickoff, I should say, his brother Trenton Gianella returned the kick, and we never saw him again. He came off the field holding that right shoulder, and I think I do see him. He is out of his pads. He's got a shoulder sling on, so hopefully Trenton Gianella is okay. And tough to see him go down on the first play of the game. You don't know what he could have brought to the game, as obviously Trey certainly does a lot, and you would imagine that his brother does a lot as well, as Hansen takes the handoff enough for a first down out to the 37-yard line, and likely about 1 or 2 snaps left here before this one will go final. But a big win for Pleasant Hill.
And the bigger issue is you just hope that maybe he's going to be okay for next week too, because obviously they had to press a couple of their guys into different roles. Evan Hansen's had to take over at fullback, and now with the injury to Gianella, they're going to have to probably fill the gap, but we hope that he's able to come back and play next week in the playoffs.
And that's one of those things that's just so different once you get down to this level, is that you have 30 kids on the roster, and if you suffer injuries, it's tough to be able to bounce back, especially if they happen to major players. So with that carry, that will do it. Evan Hansen's 3-yard, 4-yard carry will wrap up this ball game. 29-6, Pleasant Hill gets the victory over Blanchet. We'll jump out to the break, come back, and get you the players of the game. Pleasant Hill into the playoffs by virtue of the victory tonight here on Play on Sports. Back for a final time at McCulloch Stadium at Willamette College, Willamette University. 29-6, Pleasant Hill gets the victory over Blanchet. Time now for our players of the game. First for the losing Cavaliers, and it was certainly a team effort for these guys. But Jim, who stuck out to you for the Blanchet Catholic Cavaliers here tonight?
Well, 2 guys. Trey Gianella, I obviously talked about him at the end of the game, quarterback. Defensive safety, and then number 8, Kyle Ruiz, who really had a great game, rushed just over 100 yards in the ball game. Then I think on the other side for the winning Pleasant Hill Billies, again, 2 guys. Early on, we talked about him defensively. Parker Smith, very active. I think Isaac Lewis ties for the most enthusiastic player of the game, but I also think that you've got to recognize offensively the trigger man, Ryland Hayter, obviously a great weapon, a big play threat. He's got guys like Ward and Olson who obviously catch the football, Birch, but he's really the guy that makes everything happen. So I say Parker Smith and Ryland Hayter for Pleasant Hill.
And when you look at Pleasant Hill coming into the playoffs, there was some concern, obviously, that if they did not win, they would not make it into the playoffs. But now that they are in, if they can protect their quarterback, they will certainly be a force to be reckoned with come the playoffs.
Well, a couple things that they need to do, and they need to do it, right away. Offensive line play, got to get a lot better. They need to make sure that they can protect Ryland Hayter. And they had some challenges, some tough times here trying to protect him early in the football game. So that's something I'm sure that they'll work on is pass protection. But, Hayter and those guys on the outside, big play threats, they're going to be tough. They're going to be a tough out in the playoffs.
They certainly will be a tough out. As we wrap up the broadcast here tonight from Willamette University, Pleasant Hill takes care of Blanchet Catholic, both teams into the playoffs that will start next week here on the 3A level. For our engineer who pulled double duty tonight, James Connors, great work to him. And my analyst, Jim Patterson, I'm Fletcher Johnson. Thanks for listening. Pleasant Hill takes care of Blanchet tonight, 29-6. We'll talk to you next week here on the Play on Sports Network.